dominance of our scrum was immense, and fair play to the lads, but you don't get the reward. And we got penalised in the first half on our ball. Their guy binds on his arm, goes to the floor, we get penalised. And I don't think, genuinely don't think that the referees understand the scrum at all. I can see from 50 metres what's happening. The touch judges are inputting that. They haven't a clue, and it affects the game. And today, you know, Gloucester, fair play to them, but they're in the side, they're cheating at the scrum every time. And then at the end, we have dominance the whole day. The last scrum of the game, we get penalised for walking around on our ball. It's ridiculous, and you know, Ed Morrison, Rob Andrew, they need to start getting a handle of it, because it's ruining the game.
Well, Richard Cockerill tiptoeing around the issue, I think it's fair to say. Very, I think so. Very frustrated at the end of the game. And when you look at the stats, it's easy to see why. Do you have sympathy for the way that the scrum was handled at Welford Road at the weekend?
10 penalties conceded by Gloucester in the scrum, and yet 1 yellow card. I think he's got grounds for complaints. You know, they spend a lot of money on their props in Leicester, and particularly this time of year, in the peak of winter, that's when props come into the fore, because there are a lot of scrums, lots of errors, a lot of knock-ons and so on. They weren't able to use that to its full advantage. And even though the yellow card was given against Sean Knight in the 23rd minute, I think so, you know, if they've got to send somebody else off, then do it.
The problem is they're that dominant that another yellow card should be, but then all of a sudden you go to uncontested scrums, which actually suits Gloucester more. I know Pat Sanderson was on last week, Rugby Club, saying how good the scrum is, and I agreed with him. The scrum has been very good. What we've talked about has been pretty good. They got absolutely taken apart. So what do we do about the scrum? Do we carry on with these big lads just smashing into each other? Because as you know, Richard Cockerill was talking there, the referee in that case, Small, doesn't quite know what's going on. Anyone could see, even if you're not an expert, that Leicester were so dominant, so controlled in what they were doing, they should have had penalty after penalty after which they did. But again, all of a sudden, they took 3 or 4 penalties, decision turned around, and that's the most infuriating thing. So do we go back to hitting a scrum, getting the ball to be put in straight, and then the props and everyone then can push? Because that would alleviate all this just smashing in, because it's all about the hit, and that's what it is. It's the arms going down, there's a penalty in. It's that incredible power coming out. We always go back to this thing. I don't think it's the right way of doing it when these big forces are just smashing into each other. I think we should just hit in the middle, hold, scrum half then puts the ball in, and then the props can have a go at each other.
Do you go along with that? I mean, overall, we haven't unfortunately got time today to get into real detail with it, but do you think that the scrum at the moment is a real issue?
Listen, Dowie has hit the nail on the head, and I'll tell you what, coaches don't talk about it, because coaches are quite happy...
First time this year.
Coaches are quite happy to have a feed. How can coaches complain about referees not understanding, not giving the right refereeing decisions, not making the right penalty calls in a scrum, if the first and most fundamental aspect of a scrum, putting it in straight so there's a competition between the hookers, so the props are strong, they give the hookers a chance to strike. If that isn't happening, it's like having a bad back. You know, if it goes in the neck, everything else goes. It's not just the neck. We have idiotic rule makers who don't understand that if the rules are there, they're there for a reason. It has to go straight. Otherwise, we'll never fix the scrum. I keep hearing about hits and engagement, and it has to be straight.
And how dominant would then Leicester be if they did it that way as well? Because, you know, I had whoever he was playing against, Knight first, and the other lad on toast. Yeah. Absolutely on toast. Then they bring another guy on. So the total dominance of a pack that can scrummage well would be enhanced if that ball went in straight, and then these props could just manoeuvre, the power could come on, and the thing would just drive forward. You wouldn't see these ball after ball going down.
I can't see you can hold that much horsepower back and have any element of control, and that's the issue. Control.
So you're saying you can't do what Dowie's suggesting?
On the hit.
That's exactly that. Because that's what's happening. The referees, touch judges, whatever, do not know what's happening. Simple as.
Yeah. Well, one other thing.
No. If it slows down, so you actually hold, and then ready, and the power can come on. Obviously, it's got to come on, and then the ball goes in, and then you've got a chance of saying whatever, and then you can go back to the old form that if you were under pressure, the hooker could actually hook it to 2 ball, away to go. The 8 could stand there, and then you can get the ball in and out.
Yeah. I understand Richard Cockerill's frustration there, but one other thing he should be frustrated. Leicester's decision-making when they got the penalties at the scrum was utter garbage. They know that referees will not go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all your way. At some stage, as Richard said afterwards, they'll make daft decisions. They had 3 penalties in the same spot, 25 metres out. There's no chance of a penalty try there. They've got to say to their kicker, get it. It was
that's
awful
bad refereeing.
decision.
I agree with Cockerill, and I know exactly what you're saying.
But they've got to take it at some
I know,
stage.
but they were into that much. They had the control on that scrum for so much that they could have had 27 scrums, and they should still have got the penalty.
But
We've gotta move
generally, Leicester's red zone decision-making is poor generally at the moment anyway.
Real passion. Make a good front row, you three, actually, wouldn't you?